What's up, Herminators? Hermes here. So it's been a long time since I did Herminating the meta, but today I'm going to show you guys a deck that actually caught my eye from the DreamHack Austin tournament, where Chakki went 3-0 against a lot of the decks that are being played in the tournament, and he, like in the last year's standing format, so that's why this deck took my interest. I'm going to tell you guys why this deck is just so good, and I'm going to go over some of the pros, cons, and some of the substitutions you can make with the deck, because this deck is pretty expensive. As you see, there's a tons of legendaries, like similar to the previous Control Warrior, where they just run a bunch of legendaries and just smack you in the late game with all their powerful creatures. But you don't necessarily need too much of that because of the, like with the Valley board clears that this deck has. So I'm just gonna go over some of the pros and cons. So pros about this deck is really good in a minion based meta. The reason for this is because you have a lot of board clear. You have Consecrate, Equality Consecrate to instantly board clear. You have Wild Pyromancer and Equality just on the turn 4 board clear if you have it against a very aggressive early board. So that's why it's really good against minion based meta, is because you can instantly just remove any board that's threatening to you. So there's a lot of decks like that at the moment, like Zoo, Aggro Shaman, and also mid-range Warrior. You can also consider mid-range Hunter too. So this is also a high sustain type of class, so what this means is that you can pretty much heal out of lethal range from aggressive decks, also from combo ranges as well, from certain control decks like the Grom combo, where on turn 10 you can Taskmaster and it does 12 damage. You can get out of that lethal range too, so it's a very high sustaining type of class. So pretty good. So you have cards like Forbidden Healing, True Silver Champion, and also Ragnaros the Light Lord to deal with that kind of stuff. So a lot of late game threats. So similar to the Control Warrior, like I like to make that kind of comparison because this is pretty much the next Control Warrior for this upcoming meta. This is the better control deck in my opinion, is because there's a lot of late game threats. You have Ragnaros, Adric the Pierce, Vanis, Karn, Ragnaros the Light Lord, Tyrion, Forge Ring, and Nazov the Corruptor, which can bring back all your death rattles that have been removed in this game. So this deck is actually pretty insane with the late game power. So this is why I believe this is one of the more better control decks at the moment. It's because of the constant AoE board clears and such a huge late game threat. But although this deck seems quite good, it does have a lot of cons, or a couple of cons. The reason why is because this is a slow deck, and slow decks do have their weaknesses. So vulnerable to aggro decks. So if you have a pretty bad opening hand and you can't really deal with the early aggression that certain matchups brings out, like the aggro shaman, so if they have like a very good 1, 2, and turn 3 curve, like a Tunnel Trog into a Totem Golem, and some really strong 3 drop like Tuskar Totemic, and then into the Faceless Flame Wreath, or Flame Wreath Faceless, the 4 drop for 7/7, and you can't handle that board, like you don't have Wild Pyromancer and Equality, you're pretty much going to take a lot of damage and potentially lose the game. So there is that kind of weakness. It's also vulnerable to combo decks, is because this is a slow deck and usually stretches the game very, very long, which allows the opponent to draw into combo pieces and burst you down. If you want to put it in comparison, just think about in previously the combo druid versus the Murloc Paladin. Combo druid most of the time wins that matchup because they just wait for the combo pieces and drop down Emperor Terzin, and then just burst you down with Force of Nature and double Savage War combo. So you have that going on for you. So this is why this deck is also pretty bad against combo decks. You can also think of Freeze Mage as one of the weaknesses, is because if the Freeze Mage plays it properly, even the healing that you can have from the Paladin is not going to do much. So you Alex Strauss, you heal up to 30, but as long as they drop Emperor Terzin with a bunch of spells and also Blood Mage Danos, you're still going to lose most of the time. Or they get off a really good Antonidas. So combo decks, so this deck does suffer against combo decks. So right now I'm going to go over some of the cards, and when I go over some of the cards, I'm going to tell you some kind of substitutions that you can make with the deck, because this deck, as I said before, is kind of expensive, and I'm going to tell you some of the combos that you can do as well. Forbidden Healing. This card is one of my most favorite cards in the whole set. The reason for this is because it's so flexible and provides a huge ton of healing. So on turn 10, I can heal for 20 health. That's insane. And it's better than Reno in my opinion, is because it actually raises the consistency in your deck, because when you're running Reno, you have to run like one copy of each card, and I don't really like that because I reduce a lot of consistency in a deck. So this card is amazing for its cost, which is anything pretty much because it's just so flexible. So, and you guys don't have this card, you can pretty much substitute this for Holy Light or Guardian of Kings. The reason why I say that is because they both provide healing, and Holy Light is a little bit more flexible is because it's a low mana cost. You can pretty much fit it in any type of curve, such as Forbidden Healing, but just doesn't provide as much healing as Forbidden Healing, right? And also, Guardian of Kings, it provides you a late game body on board. A 5/6 is pretty sturdy, it's pretty much gonna stick on the board, and it provides you some sort of healing as well. If you guys even want to, you can replace it with Lay on Hands if you guys have it, but that's like the more budget type of substitution for Forbidden Healing. Humility is another really good card in this deck, and I didn't really suspect people to actually run 2 copies of it, but the reason why Chakki ran 2 copies of it is because of the Stampeding Kodo combo, where your opponent plays like a really big threat, like Ragnaros or even Ysera, you Humility it, and then you just immediately remove it with Stampeding Kodo. This can also reduce a lot of early aggression that your opponent can put out, like Aggro Shaman, they played 4-drop for 7/7, which is called the Flame Breed Faceless, I believe. You can just Humility this and pretty much ignore it for the entire game, so which is pretty good, and allow you to survive in the late game and potentially heal up and play all your late game threats. So you're just pretty much slowing down the game with Humility. Really good card. Quality, needless to say, this card has always been so good at removing boards with Pyromancer and also Consecration. So the Acidic Swamp Ooze, pretty much this card is like Weapon Hate. What Weapon Hate is just removes weapons. And since there's a lot of classes with weapons, such as Shaman with their Doom Hammer, you really want to remove that because it does tons of damage. Potentially can even kill you by itself too. And Warriors run like a lot of weapons too. They have like Fiery War Axes. I also see some people run King's Defender, Arcanite Reaper, and there's this new legendary that summons a weapon as well. So Acidic Swamp Ooze is definitely a good include. If you're playing against a mirror matchup, you get value out of this card too. So Doomsayer is really good against the aggressive matchups in my opinion, which is mainly the reason why this card's in this deck. So pretty much when you play on turn 2, when they already have a turn 1 play, so let's say you were up against Zoo and they already play Flame on turn 1 and you play this card on turn 2. They have to figure out some ways to actually remove this creature if they want the Flame to live. Most of the time they just let it die, but it actually helps you prolong the game so that you can set up and remove a lot of the early aggression. While Pyromancer is pretty much here for the quality, and at most times you can combo with Consecrate for 3 damage AoE board clear. You can even combo with Humility or Forbidden Healing to do like a quick board clear against classes like Warlock with their Forbidden Ritual. Acolyte of Pain. So this card is mainly here for obviously card draw. If you play this card against like the more aggressive matchups where they have a lot of low attack creatures such as Zoo, where they have Forbidden Ritual, Possessed Villager, you can pretty much guarantee a couple of draws with this card. You can even combo it with Wild Pyromancer with another spell so you can draw an additional card as well. Spellbreaker, I know like we used to run Owls in like mid-range Paladin decks, but now that Owl is nerfed, I don't really feel like it's worth playing for 3-drop for 2-1. The body's a little weak. At least as a 4-drop for 4-3, it can trade into a lot of creatures efficiently, and it also provides a silence too. You can also think of this similar to Shredder in terms of stats. It can trade into a lot of things around the 4-drop kind of area. Solemn Vigil, this card actually has a lot of synergy in this deck. The reason why is because if you Wild Pyro with Equality, wiping the whole board, Solemn Vigil is most likely going to cost really less and potentially 0 as well, so you can draw 2 cards for like 0 mana. Doomsayer as well, if Doomsayer gets off and board clears like the whole board, Solemn Vigil also lowers its mana cost because of Doomsayer as well. Stampeding Kodo, I've been talking about this card since forever. You can combo this with Humility and also Elder Peacekeeper. Pretty good card. Karn Bloodhoof, the reason why a lot of people are playing this card now because we don't have this Pilot Sky Golem anymore, but I feel like in this kind of meta, Karn Bloodhoof is a lot better just because it's more resilient, having 5 health, allowed to trade a lot of things, and also being able to stick on board. And it also has synergy with N'Zoth the Corruptor because it's also another Death Rattle you can bring out later. Just to go Trueheart, I really love this card against the control matchups, especially the Control Warrior, because you can constantly produce 1/1, 2/1/1s every turn. So it forces them to brawl onto a weak board because just because the 2/1/1s pressure is just so high. And it can also you can also use the 1/1s to keep up with a lot of the aggressive decks as well. So this card overall is not bad. Sylvanas Windrunner. Needless to say, this card it forces your opponent to do inefficient type of trades because they don't want you to take control of their creatures, and this also have synergies with N'Zoth the Corruptor. Adric the Peer, I personally don't like this card because it's a 7 draw for 3/7, so looking at the stats, it's kind of weak for its mana cost. But changing all enemies attack to 1 is actually very crucial, especially in this kind of meta. A lot of people are playing big creatures, so this card can save you in a lot of scenarios. And it also has synergy with Stampeding Kodo. Although if you're going to change a lot of creatures and your opponents to one attack, Stampede Kodo would actually hit something randomly, so it's not guaranteed, so you do have that kind of trade-off. So Ragnaros the Firelord, we've seen this card since forever. When you play it down, it immediately does 8 damage. You can use this for efficient trading, depending on what it hits, or you can use it to push for lethal for that 8 damage if there's an empty board, so it's actually quite good. So Ragnaros the Light Lord, the opposite of the Fire Lord, instead of dealing 8 to your opponent, you do 8 health to a damage-friendly character. So, like, a lot of people think of this as Lightwell. It's definitely true, but this is better because it happens at the end of your turn. What makes this card so strong is that this card can attack. So when you attack into a certain creature, it can potentially heal itself back to full health. So that's pretty insane too. And if you do require to heal yourself, most of the time you can actually trade off your creatures in order to heal yourself for 8. So you can kind of control this card. Tyrion Forging is one of the most powerful cards in the game, is because it's a taunt, Divine Shield. When it dies, it gives you a 5/3 Ashbringer. Like, there's so much value in just this one card, and it has so much synergy with N'Zoth too, the Corrupt. So N'Zoth the Corruptor is a really strong type of card, is because your Death Rattle is really high in value, like the Karn, Sylvanas, and Tyrion. So when you play this in the late game, it's really hard for your opponent to actually move everything on board, unless they have like another Equality Consecrate combo or they have Brawl. So those are one of the main ways to actually handle N'Zoth the Corruptor. If you guys are looking for a substitution for Doomsayer, I highly recommend Twisted Worgen. The reason for this is because pretty much Doomsayer is there to prolong the game. Twisted Worgen also does that kind of job, although it doesn't entirely clear the board, but it allows you to trade into certain minions to negate some of the early aggression. So that's actually quite a good replacement. I know that it's really vulnerable to like Whirlwind, Consecrate, but pretty much if you're against those mid-range or late-game matchups, you don't really care about losing Twisted Worgen. Is because you mainly just wanted to trade, and against like mid-range and control matchups, you're going to the late game anyway, so losing out on a 2-drop is not a big deal. So Twisted Worgen is definitely one of the substitutions for Doomsayer in my opinion. If you guys are missing Karn Bloodhoof and Sylvanas Windrunner, I recommend replacing these 2 cards with Corrupted Healbot, is because Corrupted Healbot is also a Death Rattle. It will be brought out by N'Zoth, and the 5-drop for 6/6 is a really good body too. Like, ignore the 8 health to the enemy here. You're playing till late game, so most of the time the 8 health doesn't really matter, and you hit 2 times to the face with this card, you already gain full value out of this card. So really good card. And can do a lot of efficient trades too, so definitely a good substitution for Karn and Sylvanas Windrunner. So if you guys are missing out on the Ragnaros brothers, you can actually replace it with Northsea Kraken. I highly recommend this because Northsea Kraken is really similar to Ragnaros the Firelord, where it's played, it deals damage, but Northsea Kraken you can control where it's going, but it only deals 4. So in a sense, it's sort of similar, very reactive, but the pressure that it brings out is not as much as the Ragnaros brothers. You are losing out on healing, but I don't really think it's a big deal. Ragnaros the Light Lord, if you're really concerned about healing, you can actually just replace it with Guardian of Kings, or you can play it one of each, or 1 Guardian of Kings and 1 Northsea Kraken. That's totally fine too. You're just replacing the late game pressure in the deck, and you having enough healing or having not enough healing and not having enough damage is really up to you in terms of how you want to tech it in. But I really highly recommend Guardian of Kings and Northsea Kraken to replace the Ragnaros brothers. So if you guys are missing like Tyrion Forging, which is a really big card to miss out on because it's really hard to replace, you can replace it with Bog the Creeper because it's also another taunt and is also resilient too. It's 7-drop for 6/8, comes out a turn before Tyrion, but it is a 6/8, so it's really hard to penetrate. You are losing out on that Death Rattle that N'Zoth resummons, but resummoning to 2 6/6 anti-kill bots, or if you have Karn and Sylvanas Windrunner, they're pretty much good enough in my opinion. But it's just that if you summon N'Zoth and you don't have Tyrion on board, it's really hard to prevent the lethal damage that they're going to put out. Another card that you can probably replace is Sunwalker too. Is really similar to Tyrion Forging in general. If you don't have Dissolve the Corruptor, you can pretty much replace it with any type of card that puts. If you don't have Dissolve the Corruptor, you can pretty much play any type of late game creature that puts pressure on the board. You can even play the Faceless Behemoth if you're really budget. You can play Ysera, Nefarian to get you extra cards. Don't recommend Yoxaron. But yeah, Alexstrasza is perfectly fine too. Like any big creatures that comes out late game that your opponent needs to handle. So this is the deck. I explained a lot of the cards of why it's being played in the deck, and also gave you guys certain substitutions for the cards because I know this deck is very expensive, and some of the newer players might just want to get the general gist of how this deck works, like how a control paladin works. So I gave you guys some of the substitutions, even to the most common cards as well for some of the legendary. So I hope those cards work out for you, and I'm gonna show you guys why this deck is so good in the gameplay videos that I'm gonna do. And if you guys like what you're seeing, definitely leave a like and also subscribe. It actually helps me grow. Also share with your friends as well if they are looking for a guide for this kind of deck as well. So I'll definitely see you guys in the gameplay videos. So I'm removing everything. I want, like, yeah, True Silvers, Acolyte Pain, Doomsayers. Maybe I should have kept the Eldor just for, like, the early. Like, as an early minion. Like, maybe just kept one just to negate some damage. Yeah, maybe I should have done that. That's probably a poor mulligan. Acolyte is not bad, though. It does allow me to draw 2 answers. So right now it's not bad. He didn't play a turn 1, so he's not that aggressive. So I know that he's not really playing Face Hunter. It's probably like a mid-range or control type of deck. It's not too bad.
Put this apple on your head.
Okay, so this is a little annoying. So what I can do here is play the Acolyte, trade it in because I'm afraid that the knife would actually hit. So this almost guarantees that the creatures that he's gonna play is probably gonna hit the Acolyte, and he doesn't really want to trade off his Knife Juggler to the Acolyte either, or else he's gonna lose for Ellie. So he's gonna quick shot it. It's pretty good as long as it's not going to my face. It's pretty tight. So we can't consecrate here, but I don't really feel like I need to. I can just start to develop my True Silver Champion. I feel like I should save consecrate for a bigger board since this is a more mid-range type of deck. Like if he plays like something like Savannah's or even develop like an even bigger board, I need to handle it some way. And this is not too threatening at the moment, so I can just play True Silver and just remove the biggest threat on board. It also heals me for 2, right? So I'm pretty much taking no damage right there. And it also allows me to move a 4-drop that he's going to play. If it's the Infested Wolf, I can actually hit it and then potentially follow up with Consecrate the following turns. It also contests this as well. Oh yeah, so maybe I should have killed the Fiery Bat instead of the Knife Juggler just for a potential Houndmaster. That's also a possibility too. So right now, since I drew into Elder, I'm going to trade it to the 4-3. And then just Elder the other 4-3 on board, the Houndmaster. So luckily it hits my face and doesn't hit this, so it isn't easier for him to trade into it with. Like, I do look a little bit low. I am at 20 health, but I do have Ragnaros a Light Lord, right, to almost guarantee me a heal. But I am going to trade my 3-3 into this 1-3 the following turn, so it is going to be kind of damaged. Okay, so he's playing this card for tempo. It's perfectly normal, because then he doesn't really have much of a board, but I'm just going to Peacekeeper it again. Unfortunately, I can't draw with Solemn Vigil since it's only been reduced 1 mana to clear off the 1-2, but it doesn't really matter. Doesn't matter too much. Like he's not really producing that much that much of a threat. Savannah Jaime might make things a little bit difficult, but Humility is also good. So yeah, this deck has like a lot of control, so it's actually pretty good. It's not a bad deck. Oh, always Huffer. And Eagle Hornbow. He's probably gonna use it to trade. He might even use a 4-2 to trade rather than go to phase. Ah, just kidding. Huffer always goes phase. Was there any doubt? Yeah, Huffer always goes phase. Okay, since I have the Pyro, I actually don't feel bad to actually just use Consecrate here. And it allows me to draw too, and I do have like a lot of reactive cards to actually remove the board now, so like I have like Equality and Pyro, so that's actually not bad. I could actually just trade this and just Consecrate. And then start drawing cards. Solemn Vigil. And potentially draw. See, Tyrion's a good pick, and also Sylvanas is pretty good. Like, you'll probably have a little bit hard time to take care of Tyrion, so it's not bad.
Put this apple on your head.
Ooh, so playing Knife Juggler and Unleash Your Hound just to gain back board. I am kind of low on health, but since I'm low on health, I can just play Ragnaros and Lightline. Good stuff, right? Good card. Oh, so good. I can't believe he used Unleash the Hound to just remove the Eldor, so it's actually kind of a lot of value for me. But I guess like he isn't gonna get value out of the Unleash the Hound since I rarely play any creatures. Like I rarely fought the board, so yeah. Pretty good, pretty good. So and for this matchup, Forbidden Healing is also consideration because you might want to, because Aggro Shaman bursts you quite a bit, right? And then your health goes really low, and then you suddenly just die all of a sudden from burst damage. So Forbidden Healing is a consideration to keep. So what I might keep also is this Elder Peacekeeper. That's also good too. It's because Forbidden Healing is so flexible, I can heal at any time with like a bunch of health too. So I actually consider keeping Forbidden Healing. Is actually not bad against a matchup. Elder Peacekeeper is mainly to counter like pretty big threats like the Faceless Flame Wreath, the 4-drop for 7/7. So keeping the Elder Peacekeeper is not bad. Probably keep the Elder Peacekeeper and the Forbidden Healing. I want to win against this matchup because this matchup is so annoying. It's not actually a really good matchup, because if I don't have the early board, like if I can't control the early board, I actually can't really win this matchup. And it just flood the board so well. Like Shaman is just so strong right now. So I'm just gonna pass. There's nothing really I can play. I have 2 turn 3, like 2 3-mana cards, so I can potentially just coin in a 3-drop, just because I have another 3-drop to follow up. Or I can wait till turn, or I can Hero Power and wait till turn 3 to coin in a True Silver. So there's like that going for me. So that's really how you use the coin, is to make the most value out of it. If you have like 2 turn 3 cards to play, like 2 3-mana cards to play, you can just coin 1 at turn 2 and then follow up with another 3-mana card. But see, since he didn't really do anything either, I can actually coin in the Acolyte, which is not bad. I actually like coining in the Acolyte. Yeah, I actually like the Acolyte, it's not bad. The reason why I'm coining the Acolyte now is because if I coin an Acolyte and he plays like something like a Totem Golem or something, I can like Elder Peacekeeper to Totem Golem, trade into the Totem Golem to gain extra cards, so you have that little kind of combo there. You don't use it most of the time because sometimes you want to use the Eldor to control bigger creatures, but against this matchup, I assume it's a little bit faster, is either mid-range or more aggressive. Doing that is actually not bad, like drawing 2 cards, etc. Yeah, I would actually do it. I would actually do for the draw here. I like drawing. It does heal it up, it does feel bad, but then the 3/3 itself does contest with 2 wolves. So, and next turn I have True Silver Champion to clear anything on board, so that's not bad too. So this is probably one of the more popular matchups because the aggro shaman or mid-range shaman in general, they're very popular in the ladder right now. So this is probably one of the more popular matchups to play at the moment. Like play against at the moment to show you guys how to beat this matchup. Yeah, probably gonna trade the yo. So I got pretty good value out of the Acolyte. I got 2 draws. That's mainly what you want. Like if you can get more, of course, obviously it's better, but it's not really a big deal. I'm probably gonna drip the Doomsayer because that's probably the only time I can actually get it off quite well. Because he doesn't really have damage on board to actually clear it. If you were to use something like a Lava Burst, I actually feel good about it because it's only saving a 2/3, which is not really worth it in my opinion if you actually plan to use the Lava Burst here, unless the totems really mean that much so. Other than that, he has to waste a lot of resources to actually remove this Doomsayer. So actually a really good time to use the Doomsayer at the moment. Unless he has a Nerve Shock, then sure. If he has a Nerve Shock, then sure, that's worth it because there's only 1 mana. You can develop another creature. But if you're gonna Lava Burst it, it's not worth it. Okay, so good. Okay, I'm probably gonna develop a True Silver Champion right here. I don't really want to use my Coda because I know I'm gonna get value out of it because I do have the Humility in my hand. Like on turn 6, I can just Humility and then just play Coda and just remove like a pretty big creature if he plays like a 6-drop, like a Fire Elemental or something like that. Or something that's really threatening in some way. Not sure, but Coda will have its values, let's just say that. If he just plays nothing, Sylvanas is kind of good, but I don't really like playing Sylvanas on an empty board. Because I gain no value out of it, and he can just use like a Lava Burst to remove it, which is a lot of value for him, not me. So since I have Forbidden Healing in hand, I actually feel pretty good just playing Sylvanas. I don't feel this board can actually burst me down. If it does do a lot of damage, but it will force him to awkward turns. I guess it will be pretty bad if he uses a Hex this turn, but if he uses Hex, he can't play any more creatures because he is overloaded by 1 or 2. Actually, I'm not sure yet. Overloaded by 1. Yeah, he could only like Cure Power again, so playing Sylvanas is not bad. Unfortunately enough, my True Silver can't really penetrate through the 5/5. If it could, I would probably have a lot of value there, but playing Sylvanas is not bad. He can't really leave it up because I probably guarantee like stealing some type of creature from his hand, or I mean from his board. I just need to steal something from Sylvanas, so yeah, he plays the Hex. As expected. Ooh, also Ancestral Knowledge. Alright, so I'm probably gonna take 8 to the face, which is not too bad. Okay, so he plays another creature. I feel like Equality Consecrate is a pretty good value right here. So I was a little greedy, but I have like Forbidden Healing to back me up, so it's not too bad. Oh, I am picking up the Ragnaros. So I'm going to Equality Consecrate. It doesn't really allow me to develop anything on board, but I do have the True Silver Champion to remove anything that he plays. If he does decide to play the Doomhammer, I have a Acidic Swamp Ooze and remove it, which is pretty disgusting. So I knew the Flame Wreath Face was going to come out here. It's not too big of a deal. Ooh. Okay. So I'm probably going to hit the taunt, and then I'm just probably going to Humility this and just use the Stamping Cone to kill it. I can't take 50-50 with the Rag, but if it doesn't hit the Flame Wreath Faceless, I lose a lot of value. I want the Rag to be uncontested. Gotta save the Wild Pyro for like a couple of spells. I feel like just removing it with the Kodo and the True Silver and just put the Rag on board. He did use 1 Hex, so it seems like he might have problems actually dealing with this card. So it's not bad to play. I forget how many, oh, since he hexed my Sylvanas, I cannot actually play N'Zoth. It feels kind of bad, man. That's okay. Let's trade this in. For justice. I don't really want to take the 50-50. It doesn't feel good taking the 50-50. If he has another Hex, that's actually pretty OP. I actually don't like that. That's pretty sick if he has another Hex. Because he didn't draw that many cards in his deck, he only draw into half. He actually has it. Okay. There's a chance that he still has it. Oh, he's trying to flood the board just so I don't get value out of Reg. That's good too. Okay, that's gonna be a little bit disastrous. Just a little bit. What I can do is use the True Silver to clear the 4/4 and hopefully Reg just hits one of the creatures on board. I like that a little bit more. For justice.
Welcome to the grand tournament.
I guess that's okay, but if he has lethal with just 7 damage on board, that's actually a little bit disgusting. I feel like he's gonna trade it to Reg though. Please trade it to Reg. Please. Pretty please. Actually, it might even be hard for him to actually do 1 point of damage. So he is planning to trade, so it's not too bad. Oh god. Oh, he decides to go face. Okay. He decides to go face.
For justice.
Interesting. So what's good about here, I can just heal myself for 20 points of damage, so for 18. Actually, I can just develop 2 1/1s and then heal myself. I feel like that's a little bit better. Or I can just play the Doomsayer and just heal myself, which forces him to either trade into the Doomsayer or clear my, or just hit face and then clear the whole board. But I feel like that's not really not worth it. I feel like just playing the 2 1/1s and just healing myself is a lot better. Yeah, I feel like 2 1/1s. Healing myself is a lot better. And then potentially Rag will hit one of these two, right? Yeah, so that's nice. So it actually prolongs the game a lot more. So then the Zerd Drake is played. Ooh, okay. That's a little bit bad. Did I play any other Death Rattle? I'm just wondering right now. So he's just playing Sestoko plays. Interesting. Adric the Peer. Coming when I need it. That's so good. He got a little bit punished there for just going phase, because he could have just removed this rag. But right now, the game's just over. If you traded against a reg, you'll be all fine, but he didn't.
Now I've got a tale to tell you of the ones from long ago. There's an evil that's been dreaming, but now it's